I want to know, how have you evolved in your relationship with suffering and discomfort?
So think about it, when I say suffering, people cringe. It's not about suffering how people may look at suffering. Like you have to just go to a place that just every day of your life is suffering. You have to tap into suffering every day of your life because we have so much scarring that we have to clean up. You have to look at suffering as almost like I look at failure. To succeed, you must fail. In failure and in suffering, all the answers are in there. All the answers to all the test questions. The test is your life. All the answers are in there. You don't have to live in suffering and pain and failure all the time. You have to learn, I need to visit it. Like people hate working out. You're only gonna visit working out maybe an hour a day. 23 other hours of the day, you're not in it. But how you become in shape is you must visit suffering, visit your past failures 1 hour a day. The relationship with it is the answers are in there. They are in there. Within the suffering, go in there, and I call it the live autopsy. The live autopsy, how you find out someone died, they crack you open after you're dead.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because the thing that saved me as an entrepreneur was watching the stories of other successful entrepreneurs, and I learned from their advice, I learned from their motivation, and honestly, I have no idea where I would be if I didn't have those videos to inspire me. I still need them for myself today too, and I hope that they can inspire you as well. So today, let's learn from one of the best, David Goggins, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
How you can live is do it while you're alive. Go back in your brain, crack it open while you're alive. Don't wait until you're dead to figure out why you died. Do it while you are living. Go in there, go into the suffering, go into the pain of your life and say, why did this suck for me so bad? Why am I afraid of all this stuff? Why have I shut down the whole world? I guarantee I'll tell you why you shut down the whole world. It's in these nooks of the suffering within your brain, in the scarring, are all the answers to why you are on the couch feeling sorry for yourself. They lie within the scars. Visit them for at least an hour a day, study them, and then you'll find out more about yourself. You will then grow. So don't look at it as every day I suffer. Go into it an hour a day. Learn from yourself, learn from life, learn from your failures, learn from your insecurities, learn from your self-doubt. Don't just say, I'm afraid to jump off an airplane. What makes you afraid of it? Study it. That's why I studied my mind. Why I became so powerful in the mind is because I realized I was weak. So instead of running away from the mind, I dove into it and said, what is making me weak? Oh, this makes sense. I came from hell. I came from a place that beat me down to nothing, which is why I'm afraid. All this makes sense. So systematically, one by one, I went back and met every single person in my mind, every situation. I went one-on-one with them again in my mind and said, okay, let's now revisit this. And that's how you do it. That's how it works.
Rule number 2 is master your mind.
The mind is so powerful, and I didn't realize it. I went through 3 Hell Weeks, Ranger School, Delta Force selection, all this stuff. This incident I'm going to explain to you right now was where I realized we are only at 40% of what we are capable of. Here I am, right idea to do this race called Badwater 135. I Googled the 10 hardest races in the world. What came up? Crazy race in Death Valley. Summertime, 135 miles. I knew nothing about ultra running. I thought you would camp out, run 20 miles. Then one day, they run 20 miles again until you get 135 miles. I had no idea what I was doing. Called the race director up. He's like, hey, have you run 100 miles? I was like, what, in a week or what? What are you talking about? He's like, no, in 24 hours or less. I said, no. He goes, you got to qualify to get in this race. You have to run 100 miles in 24 hours or less. He was trying to call my bluff. I call him up on a Wednesday. He goes, hey, there's a race in San Diego on Saturday where it's a 24-hour race where you run around, a track, a 1-mile track for 24 hours. And if you get 100 miles, I will consider you in my race. It really helps to be smart, people. And I was not smart in this situation. I said, oh, I did the math. It's about a 14-something minute mile. I can do that. Anyway, I show up on Saturday with the blue lawn chair, Ritz Crackers, Mileplex, and my ex-wife. And every mile I'm going to see her, I'm going to grab some Ritz Crackers and some Mileplex. I know what the hell I'm doing, but it's bliss. That whole ignorance is bliss thing. So I get to 70 miles pretty damn fast. I get to 70 miles in like 12, 13 hours. What do you think happens to your body when you haven't trained for that kind of mileage? A lot of bad things, but I thought I was in good shape. It was amazing. So I hadn't gone to the bathroom at all. I sit down, big mistake. I sit down in this blue lawn chair, I sit down, looking at my ex-wife, I'm seeing like 3 or 4 of her. I'm like, this is not good. So I'm trying to play it off because I know where I'm about to go. So I'm sitting there, and when you haven't gone to the bathroom, you're dehydrated, your nutrition's all jacked up, you sit down, you gotta go to the bathroom now. So I'm sitting there, and I'm all jacked up. And I'm like, okay, how in the world am I I got 30 miles to go. I should quit, but I didn't. What I started doing through this whole process was I started to study myself in the dark times. So instead of just quitting real fast, I said, no, I'm going to quit, but not right now. So I sat back for a second, and I said, let me get some water, let me hydrate, let me clean myself up a little, let me get some nutrition. I wasn't dizzy. So, okay, my feet are all messed up. Let me see if I can walk. I'm gonna walk 1 mile, then I'll go home. That'll be a great accomplishment for me, 71 miles. So I took this massive thing, and I started breaking it down into small chunks. And as I started breaking it down into small chunks, I started realizing maybe I'll walk 1 more mile. But at the pace I was walking, I wasn't gonna make the time. So this is when I realized the whole 40% rule. Those of you who worry, red can't hurt me, you understand it. Basically, the 40% rule is when we have a governor on our brains, like a governor on a car. A car may say 130, but if you put a governor on a car, it can only go 101. We do the same thing to our brains. I was born with limited horizons, born on the other side of the tracks. I didn't think I could be anybody. So my governor was myself. So once you take that governor off, you have limitless horizons. So here I am now, sitting in this chair, walk 75, I'm at 80 miles, but I'm not gonna make the time. The most amazing thing happens. The brain, the mind, the soul, the spirit, it all connected. It's never happened before like this in my entire life. I ran the next 19 miles. I ran about 10-minute mile. I finished 101 miles in 19 hours and 6 minutes. I'm gonna save you how the story ends, because it ends real foul. It ends in a tub with me peeing Coca-Cola out of myself. It was blood, and it was the best feeling I had in my entire life. I'm not sadistic, but when you push yourself to that level and accomplish something you thought was impossible, what happens to your body and mind is something I can't really even explain.
Rule number 3 is use the cookie jar method.
What got you up out of the chair?
Honestly, I create this thing called the cookie jar as I went through my suffering in life to become who I was. And the cookie jar was every time I failed everything so many times in my life. And failure, and I would succeed. I would fail and I would succeed. I had to figure out how to succeed through failure. And I put a bunch of cookies in the cookie jar. The cookie jars are things when I start to get the woe is me mentality, which we all still get, even though you could be very successful. I reach in and I say, oh, this is my childhood. And this is what I did to overcome that. Because a lot of times when you're in hell, you forget how great you really are, because at that moment you're suffering. So you don't think about the great things that you've done. I take time to really calm my brain down when it's stressed out and remember where I came from and say, okay, no, we can do this. Mm-hmm. We can do this through a calm, patient mind, figuring out how to do it. So I figured out how to do it, how to get salt, electrolytes, get some food, get some hydration back in me, get my blood pressure to the point where I can stand up. That was the first mission.
Rule number 4 is start with small goals.
And I started with very small goals. You know, it wasn't like I went out there and, well, I started out real big and I realized that the big goals were just crushing me, you know, because they weren't happening fast enough. And I had to start making big things very small. And I had to take a lot of pride and a lot of satisfaction from the fact that, you know, I had to lose 106 pounds in like less than 3 months.
Wow.
Which was an impossible task for anybody to do. So instead of looking at 106 pounds, man, I was happy to lose a pound. I was happy to run a quarter mile because you know how it is as a power lifter, man. You're not running anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you're not. I mean, for me, when I was a power lifter, man, I was so crazy about calorie content and losing calories that I hated even walking to the refrigerator. You know, I didn't want to lose any calories because I knew losing calories meant losing strength. So I was a freak about all that stuff, man. So I had to totally flip my mindset about all that stuff and just find very small goals and start achieving them, being proud of myself through those small goals that I accomplished.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is find your purpose.
What's your purpose right now?
My purpose right now is to continue. I used to have a wash rag when I did this. And you know how you take a shower, you have a wash rag and a cloth, and you're sitting there and you're just lathering up. And before you hang your rag up, you want to get all the water to come on it and, you know, get it all the suds out of it. Then you want to wring it out and you want to hang it up. So my big thing is when I live my life, I want to make sure that when I'm dead and gone, that I wring that wash rag out, and that wash rag is my soul. And I also believe that we're going to end up one day meeting a maker, if you believe in one. And I believe that maker knows everything about you. Everything about you. Knows I was going to be here and talking to you. Knows everything. But you also have a choice to make. You have a choice to make. We have choices. And the one thing that scares me to death in my life is getting to heaven and not being what I was supposed to be. And I believe that God has a chart, and he looks at the chart and he puts it in front of you when you get to heaven. He says, hey, this is what you're supposed to be. And one of my biggest fears in life was to see that chart and not have every block checked off. You know, I want to make sure that I'm constantly pursuing whatever it is I'm pursuing just to be the best. Just constantly grinding myself into a fine powder, you know, but doing it in a smart way. Like I talked about, you can constantly grind yourself into a point where you're just sick. There's a happy medium of grinding. So that's my purpose now, to continue to push myself so others can see what is possible.
Rule number 6 is don't fear failure.
I think we need to rethink how we frame failure. Like, I don't even like that word. You know what I mean? Because it implies such a negative outcome or perspective. Like, there should be a different word for it, and then we wouldn't be so caught up in it. You know what I mean?
What you said is so true. That word doesn't bother me because I look at it like you are trying to say it. Failure is just a word. For me, failure was me having more information on how to succeed. That's all failure became to me. So I failed so much. Pull-up records, running events, had to quit this, buds, Rangers, all this crap I had to go back through. All that was, oh, I failed because of these reasons here. Go back to the drawing board, figure out the right equation, put it together, go back, fail again. Oh, but I got more information. So everything I was afraid of, I made sure to meet it right in the face and overcome it.
Rule number 7 is build your self-esteem.
A lot of people are listening to this right now, and a lot of people probably feel they're not worth a they probably feel like crap about themselves. What is something that you're able to share with people that can help flip a switch, or is there anything, you know, or do they just need to come to their own realization? They need to hit bottom. They need to go through some first in order to get there. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what's funny, man, is that I'm not speaking for every big guy by any means, but I was once the big man. And I realized a lot of us big guys, man, we got some serious demons. You know, I hung around big guys, and we'd all break down, and we started talking about our personal lives and how fucked up we all are, and Hey, why did you become big, man? We all had almost a similar story of insecurities.
Yeah.
And walking around in the airport looking like a gargantuan, man, people look at you differently and you get a little more self-esteem. So I'm going to be talking to a few of us out there when I say this, man. The biggest thing in life that you have to do is you have to be proud of yourself. You have to start developing that personal self-esteem. And it has to be something that it's an internal thing. And it has to come from a lot of hard work and dedication. And you really have to, I call it like right now, I see your headphones on your head. I walk around life with so-called headphones on my head, man. I don't, really wear them, obviously, but I just have these earmuffs on that I silence out the noise. I silence out the judgment. I silence out the self-doubt. I silence out all the naysayers. And, those people get in our head, and then we start getting in our head. And the most important conversation we'll ever have is one we have with ourselves. And like you were saying to yourself, man, I'm dumb, I'm this, I'm that. I was the same way. So if that's what you're constantly repeating to yourself in that internal conversation, man, that's who you're going to be. And my biggest thing for these people who are out here is, honestly, man, you have to start callousing over that victim's mentality. You have to start building this mental armor that no matter what anybody said, that you can be in a room full of 1 million people and all 1 million can be like against you and calling you names and whatever. And you be like this, you know what? Roger that. You can go f yourself, man. 'Cause I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing. And that's the kind of self-esteem you have to build in yourself, man, in this kind of society today, because it's tough. It's tough out here nowadays.
Rule number 8 is put yourself in hell.
I talk about theorists. I talk about practitioners. A theorist is a person who reads a book, doesn't do it, reads a book, learns about something, and then talks about it. A practitioner is myself. A practitioner is a person like me. I wanted to be an expert in the mind, a mental toughness guy, beyond mental toughness. The only way to do that, in my eyes, is to put yourself in hell. Put it in hell repeatedly. Repeatedly put yourself in hell and study how you process it. And that's how I was able to come up with all these different ways, all these different tools to slow the mind down in hell. Because the mind just speeds up. The mind wants to get out of the painful situation, the suffering. It can't process it. So that's what I realized by going through all these different processes of being in hell weeks. It's just that.
I love that, man.
How
That's
the mind
amazing.
processes in hell.
Rule number 9 is exercise.
I started this crazy stretch routine, and I literally have healed myself through the discipline I had. And what people won't believe is I got to a point where I stretched out for 8 to 12 hours a day.
So essentially, like most of your waking hours when you're not working out.
Stretching.
Yeah.
And it went from that to 6 hours a day. Then from 6 hours a day to 4 hours a day, the more I would open up. So the hips
And
are your soul.
is there like a specific routine of stretches that you would go through, or
I would sit and stretch a whole big routine, a whole mess of like opening up your abductors, because your abductors are attached to your hips, your hip flexors, everything is attached at this region here, your midsection, your hips. And my hips got so tight that I couldn't even squat down. I had so much back pain. So that's why another reason why I started running. Running, you stay upright. I couldn't squat anymore. I couldn't do any of that powerlifting stuff. So the only thing I can do is run. Running didn't bother me too bad. And it got to the point where I couldn't run either. And my health got real poor. Then my spine was collapsed. And I got real sick. And basically, I healed myself. No doctor can find out what's wrong with me. So I couldn't run a lot. I couldn't do any activities. So I said, you know what? I'm going to bury myself in stretching. And what happened was I had this huge knot on the back of my head. The knot came from my spine collapsing and getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It developed fluid or whatever. Long story short, as I started stretching out, that bump started going away. And the smaller the bump got, the healthier I got. And I was like, what in the world is going on? So I shave every day. So I would feel this bump. And the bump, and you can see it right now.
Yeah. No, I can see it. Yeah.
Most people think everybody's a bump in the back of the head. My bump was like this big. It was huge. And the more I stretched, the more it went away. The more it went away, the healthier I got. I was like, man, so I'd be like, I'm going to keep on stretching. So my stretching it was crazy. And I got healthier. And I was like, my God. So I stretched more and more and more. And now I've been doing it now for 3 years. I haven't missed a day of stretching in 3 years.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is learn to lead.
Belief is something, I can't tell you, believe in yourself. That's a bunch of crap. Belief came from me was going through those hell weeks, taping those legs up, getting up early in the morning by myself, no coach, getting myself up, motivating myself every single day. When I'm out there in 240-mile runs and I don't want to be out there and I'm 90 miles into it and I have 150 miles to go and no one's there saying, come on, David, I'm forming belief. Many people form belief in many different ways. For me, this is how I do it. So when those hard times come my way, I know exactly how to get through them. When I first I self-published my book, Can't Hurt Me. No one believed in me. I believed in myself. I sold almost 5 million copies of that. Now Never Finished just came, it's coming out December 6th. Never Finished, I guarantee you, the audio book will probably go down as probably one of the best audio books. It sounds cocky as hell of all time. It's truly amazing what we put into that book because of how I've lived my life. A lot of people come up here and speak about motivation and pushing yourself, and they're not doing it. They're not waking up every single day. They have a canned speech they go off and they tell you about what to do, how to do it. Wake up every morning, make your bed, take a cold shower, all that crap. I'm telling you right now, you have to be that person that leads from the front. Many of you out here are in leadership positions. And many of our leaders right now are not leading from the front. They're leading from the rear, but they're telling you how to do it. They're waking up late. They're not doing what they say. So in life, it's real important to do what you say because that's where true knowledge comes from. And when I was going through Navy SEAL training, there's one thing I told myself. I wanted to quit every single day. But many dreams die while suffering. And many of us out here have suffered. And when you're suffering, I'm not talking about just physically. I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually. It could be a relationship. When you're suffering, you give up on the very things that you wanted the most. When I was going through pararescue, I wanted to be a pararescueman so bad. But that water haunted me. So when the suffering got too much, my dream died. And pretty much I almost died with it. If I didn't find Navy SEALs and getting past that hump and overcoming my demons and facing my demons every day, I would have never been up here today. You can't outrun your demons. They'll always know where you're hiding. Trust me at that. And I'm gonna end with this. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done.
We have a theorist and we have a practitioner. Mm-hmm. The theorist is a person that's going to sit back and read books from a library that someone else wrote. They become real smart about what someone else wrote, okay? A practitioner is me. I put myself in hell, lived in it for a long time, and figured out how the human mind works while suffering, while in pain, while in misery. Yes. And that's how I wrote my book. Yeah. I'm going to tell you exactly what your mind is thinking. Most of us don't stay in hell long enough to write the book. Yeah. I stayed in long enough to write it and finish the book. At the core of my soul, when I retired from the military with about $50,000 a year is what I'll probably make. For me, for a guy that grew up with nothing, I lived in a $7 a month place growing up for a long period of time. And then we moved to a $236 a month place. So basically, you give me $50,000, I'm rich. Yeah. So my mindset was about helping people. And when people truly believe in your message and believe in who you are and they see that you're being honest and truly honest for the fact that, hey, I just want to see you be better. I don't want nothing. Maybe a thank you when you're older and you're walking around with your kids and your family. If you have a real, authentic, true message about people and people see that you're not trying to sell out and not trying to sell them things, because I knew how I felt growing up and I don't want anybody to feel that way. So when I give back, it's not about giving back to like say, oh, well, hopefully down the line, I can sell them something.
Yeah.
My message is truly authentic to how I came up, and people feel that. Therefore, the business is about them.
Yeah.
And I have all these lessons learned through a life that God blessed me with, as far as like, look, I didn't survive this life. I thrived in hell.
Yeah.
And through that, I was like a guy sitting back. I was like just writing all this down. I became a poet in hell, just sitting there as hell was all around me. I was all calm, just taking it all in. Oh, I gotta tell people this. I gotta tell people that. Oh, I learned this. I learned that. While most people run from it, I was learning from it. And now I'm just giving all this knowledge to people for free.
Yeah. So
in return, people are growing. People like the message. And when you have a good message, you grow a business. I never forget when I was younger and I lived in a $7 a month place and it f***ed up. Everything was jacked up. I had a pair of jeans and I'll never forget this as long as I live. You know, first day of school, people go school shopping, right? Week out, 2 weeks out, maybe a month out. We didn't have any money to do that. So I had this pair of jeans that the inside of the pocket was green. The inside of the pocket was green. And I wore them almost every day. So what I did for the next year of school was I cut that pocket out so the green would show. So it looked like a new pair of jeans. All I wanted was money. All I wanted was a nice car, was a nice home. The second I got the money to do it, I realized this is bullshit. That's why I don't own a car. I don't own a place. I don't own shit. You will see me wearing the same shit every day. I don't hide none of that, nothing. Nothing. What I realized is all I wanted in my life was look at that in that accountability mirror and be proud of. And everything else went away. While you need money to be successful, you need money to live, you need money. Money does buy a form of happiness because without it, you're miserable. But once I realized it doesn't mean it doesn't mean for me.
What makes you happy?
Achievement, reaching goals, accomplishing things that I thought were impossible to accomplish. Because while I don't smile all the time, there's this feeling inside of me that very few people have. Very few people have. Because when you come from where I came from, nothing, and you make something out of nothing, the feeling it stays with you all day long. And it allows you to be who you want to be in front of anybody. On the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, call whatever you want, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're willing to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck and all the shit to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind.
Yeah.
Whole nother universe. I have zero anger. I'm a passionate guy, but I get it though.
Sure.
The way I talk, the way I come across, I'm an aggressive guy because that's what it takes to, like, if you walk into a situation, into a fight, I'm not saying be so aggressive that you're so aggressive that you're making bad moves.
Sure.
But if you don't have a little flame burn in you, knowing that I might get hit real hard, and when I get hit, I have to attack. I can't get knocked out.
Right.
You have to have that mentality of, when I went to Hell Week, I knew I was gonna get broken. I had to have an internal flame in me that could never be, it couldn't be kindling. Kindling, you put the water in the kindling, that shit's out.
Right.
Yeah. Nah, I had to be a tree that is burning hard. It's burning for a long time. And that's what I became, man. So it's not anger. Anger can't sustain you for a long period of time. Because once you get in a situation, trust me, I tried it before. When you get in a real hard situation and you're miserable, that anger is gone. What comes up is real. The real feeling of who you are and where you're at. You don't want to care about them people who made fun of you in high school or your dad beating the f*** out of you. Because now you become selfish. You're like, let's say you're in Hell Week, you're in that cold water, it's 50 degrees, and your balls are in your mouth right now. You're sitting there thinking, oh, dude, like, your mind's not thinking, those kids in high school bullied me or my dad.
Right, that's the least of your worries.
No, you're thinking, so that anger can fuel you for so long. There has to be something so deep in you that drives you. So what really does it for me is I know what we're capable of. And I know that most human beings aren't willing to go where I am. And that's a very, very dangerous thing. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. Everybody has this talent.
Sure.
It's not a talent. It's just realizing that we stop way short of our true potential. My mom didn't know how bad my grades were. She never saw one report card. I hit everything from, and she didn't even ask. She was so bogged down with life. And so I got away with a lot of shit because her mind was occupied. So it made me, honestly, a weaker person. So I scammed life. My mom helped me scam life for a while. But this time I couldn't scam life. I went the second time, took the ASVAB test, failed it again. And a week later, she got a letter in the mail from my high school. And I'm a junior in high school, and the letter says pretty much your son's gonna flunk out. He's missed 25% of school, because she was always gone, so I never went to school. He's gonna miss school, and so, or he's gonna flunk out. So I was exposed once again. My mom goes, well, she read the letter to me, she put my bed, and her best advice was, guess what? You're gonna flunk out of school. That was it, in the conversation. So this is when I developed my accountability mirror. And
this is awesome.
I look in the mirror, and at this time, I didn't want to be the black kid in school. There's like 5 or 6 of us in school, and like 1,700 kids, something like that. And I made up a character to kind of like draw attention from color.
Okay.
And so what I did was I started to design haircuts. And one haircut I had was the old man. And I shaved my head up here just like this.
You did this?
I did this.
Okay.
And I would keep the hair on the side like an old man has. And one time I shaved my whole head and had a reverse part. So I had hair up here and it kind of zigzag. So I did things to be this cool, crazy, kind of like creative kid. You know, like crisscross came out this time, so I had my pants sagging but backwards. So my back pockets are here. I had a toothbrush. I was crazy, man. But I was a crazy cool kid in school. So I look in the mirror, I see this letter, I'm f***ed up, and I'm like, you know what, man, no one is coming to help me. I remember back to what my principal said, 'cause I went to the principal when they wrote that shit on my car and in my notebook, and the best advice he can give me, God help his soul, was this: they're ignorant. They spell nigger Niger. God. And so but honestly, I talked to the guy as I wrote my book, and I have nothing wrong with Principal Freeman. I actually interviewed him for the book, and he was happy to interview. He's a good man. What the f*** you could tell some black kid, you're a white guy in white society, we could tell me. You could shut down the school and have a f***ing damn. So I started talking to myself this way in this mirror. What the f*** is Principal? Because at that time, like, this is the best you can do, Principal Freeman? That was my mind then, but in this mirror, it wasn't my mom, it wasn't Principal Freeman, it wasn't my dad, it was me. Because when nobody coming back to help David Goggins, that was my mindset now. And so with my non-spelling ass, I started getting these sticky notes and writing, you're f***ed up. And my mom wakes up like, what is wrong with you? I go, man, I have to change because I can't stay here. I can't, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was defeated. I go, look at myself. I'm like, who am I? So I'm defeated in this mirror, and I'm like, okay, I'm changing. And I know what gives me fuel is I know that most people who are blessed with so much talent, great parents, great upbringing, didn't come from where I come from. They're gonna quit before me. Having all the tools that they have, they didn't have the ability to examine themselves. When you have everything so nice in life, it's great to have a great life.
Yeah, no doubt.
But what happens is you don't self-examine. You don't do a live autopsy. When you have a f***ed up life, it almost forces you to do a live autopsy. It forces you to find strength from places that no one looks from. Because food is not at the ready. You know, I have a learning disability. It's not at the ready. I can't just pick up a book and start reading.
Right.
There's preparation behind everything I do. There's everything I do has to come with so much preparation. It's despicable. It makes me sick. My own personal life makes me sick. That's why I'm so disciplined now. Without my self-discipline, there is no David Goggins. Like, I can't stop reading. I won't be able to read tomorrow. I will lose it that fast.
Wow, yeah.
I cannot stop going to the gym. My mind is set up in a spot where, hey, the second I stop, it wants to stop. Because I had a quitting mind growing up. When you get beat the shit out of you all the time, your mind wants to go to that nice spot where you're comforted, where you're not trying, where shit is easy. That's where your mind, it doesn't want to think. You have all these things in the mind, and the mind can only absorb so much. So all the pain it has to go through, it wants to push it away and say, let's not do that. So every day I'm fighting where the mind wants to go. So it's a constant evolution, man. I've never arrived. That's right now I'm stressing out 2-3 hours a day. I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm like, oh man, I went through Navy SEAL training being f***ed up. I ran over 7,000 miles in 2007 being f***ed up. I did pull-up records being f***ed up. Now that the mind is so strong, let the body catch the mind. So that's now where I'm at. So I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel and see what I'm capable of next. Everybody thinks I'm the world's toughest ever lived. If I just talk about, I broke the pull-up record, I did all these races, I went through SEAL training, I was in 3 hell weeks, Ranger school. If I talk about all the badassery, like we like to do on social media, and I don't tell you that I was a f***ed up kid, and I was scared of shit, and I was depressed and insecure, and all this shit, what good am I for anybody?
Right.
I'm a superhero, but I'm a liar. I'm that now, but I wasn't born that.
Yeah.
I had to make myself into this shit. We all have a voice in our head. Some of us are very spiritual, some of us are not, but we all have this voice saying, you're doing f***ed up shit. This is wrong, don't do that. The more you don't listen to that voice, the further that voice gets away from your head. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it God, some monks, whatever you call it. It's there. We all have it. It's the right or wrong voice. But the more we don't listen to it, the more that voice goes away. And the only voice you hear is yourself. When the only voice you hear is yourself, you're wrong. There's a voice that guides you through life. When sometimes it's guiding you in a direction that you don't want to go, that's usually the right place to go. It's that uncomfortable place. So that voice is always talking to me, but we don't listen to it. I listen to it. And when I start getting anxious, nervous, like we all know when we've done too much because it's telling us, I'm getting tired, I'm wearing down. But we go. I start talking to my fiance, hey, I'm doing too much. You start now, like I did in Hell Week, like I do all the time, the 1-second decision. It's that decision when your mind starts to get so amped up, whenever you can't hear yourself think, you gotta slow down. Whenever you're living off a schedule, every day's a schedule, you have no time for yourself. When you start, and we all know it, I don't have time for this anymore, I don't have time for that anymore. That's when your mind and your body are saying, think about that. I'm neglecting my fiance, I'm neglecting my disciplines of life, I'm neglecting my reading, my learning, my workouts, my diet. When you start neglecting all of that, you neglect one of them, you can neglect all of them a long time. It's gonna haunt you. When you start seeing that, my God, I haven't eaten right in a long time, haven't been sleeping right in a long time, it can only be one of those things to take you off. So I'm very aware of my eating, my sleeping, my disciplines of life. And when I started to get too far away from them, it's a hard stop. Because what made me are the not just disciplines, the self-disciplines of life. And those are always in front of you, if you have any. They're always in front of you. So that's my hard stop.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
I didn't receive any advice. And that's the thing about it. When I grew up, I just didn't receive any advice. My family was in such turmoil that the best advice I received is from myself. And that has to be to study yourself, all the bad, because the good's already there. You need to study that. Study the bad stuff about yourself and learn from that and grow.
A lot of people have situations where someone does something and we all attack that person, like on the media. If someone does something wrong, everybody now is perfect. And we now judge this guy. I don't judge him. I don't judge anybody. What I do is I start studying them. Why did they do that? Not in a judging way. I want to learn from you.
And what'd you get out of your dad?
I got that he grew up rough. He was very insecure, had a lot of kids, and his insecurities just trickled over onto us. So yeah, he jacked us up real good, but he never fixed himself. So if you never fix yourself, the next person in line is going to get the wrath. And we were next in line. You know, his first wife, you know, killed herself or whatever happened, and you know, got burned up in a house or something. It's some craziness, man. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there that I didn't put in the book.
The truth of the starting line. We live in a world that's very unauthentic. So who the f*** are you? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? You know, a lot of people don't like what I say. A lot of people hate that I cuss. A lot of people hate a lot of things about me. I don't give a shit. When you find out who you are, that's when you start living your life. Don't fit in just for the sake of fitting in life. Make sure that you have something to say it. Social media nowadays is one of the biggest forms of being fake in the world. People buy likes, people buy friends, people buy comments, all this bullshit. Make sure in life you do what you have to do, say what you have to say, and live the life you have to live. Don't walk around being a fake human being. Don't be scared to be who you are. Stay hard.
A lot of us, mediocrity is everywhere right now. And we're all trying to find an easy way out. And we're judging ourselves. Let's say there's 10 people in this room and we're all mediocre. But I'm the best of the mediocre people. I now think I'm great. I'm great. We surround ourselves around people that make us feel great. They tell us what we want to hear. The second we put ourselves amongst the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling, that challenging feeling of that person who's waking up at 3:30 in the morning and say, hey, put your shit on, we're going for a run. We don't like that challenge. We like that person who says, hey, you know what, man, I don't feel good today, man. And they say, oh, it's okay, brother. We'll take a day off, man. We'll get a pizza and watch the game. We like that. We love that feeling. Why? Because you understand, man, we're good, bro. We don't want that like this. Hey, man, no, bro. Get your shit on, man. Stop being a punk. We don't want that in our lives. We don't want that person who's constantly challenging our weaknesses. We want that person who's constantly, you know, making us feel nice and good and secure in ours. That's the mediocrity of life. We want to be the best amongst the average people. People wonder, how do you stay hungry all the time? Because after I accomplish something, I don't sit back like a lot of guys who graduate buds, graduate this, graduate that. They get comfortable. They wonder why I'm getting weak, man. I don't know, I lost my edge. What's going on? Because once you hit the top of the mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. I'm good, so you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, you got to build another one. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume, but they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal, they busted it open, got a lot of money, but they're good. You're mediocre now, man. What are you doing today, tomorrow, the next day? That's why I don't listen to theorists. I don't listen to all that bullshit. I listen to who's like this, man. What's wrong, man? I'm tired, dude. Why are you tired? Because tomorrow, I got to do the shit again, man. Whatever the shit is that made me nauseous and sick to my stomach, it made me hurt. There's no ending. And that's the person I listen to. That's the person who's gained knowledge. You gain knowledge through suffering. And on the other end of suffering is a world that very few have ever seen. It's a beautiful world because that's where you find yourself. You don't find yourself in over here. You find yourself on the other end. Like the 100-mile race I was on, I ran it for 24 hours. I found myself on the other end of that race. That 19 hours, I found, wow, there's a whole nother world out here that I've never even saw. But the world is in your mind. And that's what all that mediocrity is about. Mediocrity is contagious. I'm the only person in the history of the military
who has ever gone through Air Force Tactical Air Control Party training, Army Ranger School where I was an Army man, in 3 hell weeks.
Yeah.
So only person to ever do that. But the reason why I did it was when I was a young kid, I considered myself very weak. Very weak. And as I started developing this indestructible mental toolbox, because what I realized was the things I was most afraid of, I cowered from. I had to start facing these things and becoming an expert at the things I feared the most.
Yeah.
I was afraid of my own mind. My mind would get off on these crazy places of woe is me. My internal conversation wasn't great.
Yeah.
So I had to start mastering it. Once I started mastering it, in the horrible place I was at, I was literally, I considered myself the worst person ever alive. That was my conversation. But once I started mastering my own life, I started realizing, my God, man, this was in me?
Yeah.
I was a 300-pound fat guy. Now I'm 181 pounds, 190 pounds, whatever it was. I'm gonna go through all these hell weeks. So I started realizing the capabilities of the human soul and the human mind.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Eric Thomas, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
They looked at the most successful men and women of the world, and they found that they had like 7, 8 things in common. And one of the things they all had in common was a routine. They are obsessed with their routine. They don't have a gap of wasted time in their routine. You know, I realized